Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Brothers and sisters, you can hear inshallah? Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Can you hear me? Wa alaikum assalam. I just want to see if you can hear me, so we'll start inshallah. If somebody could give me a thumbs up or yes. Can you hear, brothers and sisters? Good, okay. Inna alhamdulillahi nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruh wa na'udhu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyati a'malina. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وقولوا قولا سديدا يصلح لكم أعمالكم ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم ومن يطع الله ورسوله فقد فاز فوزا عظيما ألا وإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. Today, as promised, we are going to go through those issues about which there is a lot of disputes we hear or a lot of disagreements we hear, and inshallah ta'ala with the education today, a lot of things will become clear, and a lot of these opinions that we will hear, we would be able to relate to them with the pure knowledge, inshallah ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Ali Imran, لَقَدْ مَنَّ اللَّهُ عَلَى الْمُؤْمِنِينَ إِذْ بَعْثَ فِيهِمْ رَسُولًا مِّنْ أَنفُسِهِمْ يَتْلُو عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتِهِ وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةَ وَإِنْ كَانُوا مِنْ قَبْلُ لَفِي ضَلَالٍ مُبِينٍ. Indeed, Allah has conferred a great favor on the believers when He sent amongst them a messenger from amongst themselves, i.e. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, reciting to them His verses, meaning Allah's book, yatlu alayhim ayatihi. So he was not allowed to come up things from his own head. He had to recite what has been revealed to him, and that is the process of the purification. وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ, and purified them. وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةِ, He taught them the kitab and the hikmah, i.e. the sunnah. وَإِن كَانُوا مِن قَبْلُ لَفِي ضَلَالٍ مُبِينٍ, while before that they had been in manifest error. One of the greatest favor, my brothers and sisters, we have for this ummah, that Allah has made this ummah the ummah of the isnad, the ummah of the chain of narration, i.e. Allah preserved the Quran and preserved the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ with a unique system. And this is the system which will keep us guided until the day of judgment. Regardless of how many hundreds or thousands of years we are away from the Prophet ﷺ, we would be able to reach and receive his message as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala intends us to receive it. And that is as long as we follow this methodology of tracing the information from the book of Allah and the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam with the chain system. To make the Ramadan, which is a special month coming, a Ramadan which will remove our sins, the Ramadan that will purify us and cleanse us, we have to submit that way. We would not be able to create our own cleansing way in the Ramadan. We have to submit to what the Prophet ﷺ taught as Sahabat al-Kiram. The fasting of Ramadan is what we have to fast. In Ramadan, sometimes we hear Muslims say that fasting is not valid if you do not pray your Taraweeh prayer. And in some culture that I come from, they used to even say, if you do not pray 20 rakat Taraweeh, your fasting will not be valid. Whereas in the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, there is no connection between the night prayer and the fasting. The night prayer is optional and the fasting is obligatory. And the night prayer is not a prerequisite for the fasting, because if night prayer was prerequisite for the fasting, night prayer would be also obligatory. And it is tatawwan, everybody knows, and we have already discussed this in our previous classes. They also say fasting is not valid if you don't eat the suhoor. So if you don't eat suhoor, your fasting is not valid. There is nothing like this. And Nabi Sallallahu and the Sahaba, as you know, they used to yuwasilu. They used to connect the fasting and they would not eat in between the suhoor. And that's one of the proof that Imam al-Bukhari rahmatullahi alayhi, Imam of the Hadith, Imam of the Dunya of his time, he explained that suhoor is optional, but it is full of barakah. Of course, it is blessed. Of course, you should not try to miss it. But if somebody misses it, it is not intentionally or unintentionally, it's not going to make his fasting any less rewarding, inshallah. He will, of course, lose the reward of eating the suhoor, but his fasting would be absolutely valid. Also, they say fasting will become invalid if when you are making wudu and you're putting water in your mouth, you have to spit out the last drop of water. Dry your mouth completely. Nothing like this in the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. Also, some of the people, they even forbid to take shower, to put water in the mouth, and many other rules and regulations they impose upon the fasting person. And these rulings have no basis in the Book of Allah and the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Today we are going to, as we promised, talk about those issues that causes confusion amongst a lot of people, a lot of the commoners, because they hear different things from different people. So first of all, let's set up the principle. What are the principles that is being taught in the Quran and the Sunnah that will break the fast? Now, as we understand that Allah is the Lord of all of us, and He is the Lord of the fasting. He decides how to fast, and He decides what breaks the fast. Nobody else has any authority to decide on his own or on their own to come up with a conclusion that this or that will break the fast, except with a dalil, except with a proof. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed in the Quran in Surah Al-Baqarah 3 clear reasons. Allah Ta'ala says in Surah Al-Baqarah verse number 187, أُحِلَّ لَكُمْ لَيْلَةَ الصِّيَامِ الرَّفَثُ إِلَى نِسَائِكُمْ هُنَّ لِبَاسٌ لَكُمْ وَأَنْتُمْ لِبَاسٌ لَهُنْ. It's made lawful for you to have relationship with your wives at the night of fasting. So this is something lawful at night, not during the day. So if somebody does that during the day, his fasting will be invalid. This is one reason. And then Allah Ta'ala says, عَلِمَ اللَّهُ أَنَّكُمْ كُنْتُمْ تَخْتَانُونَ أَنفُسَكُمْ فَتَابَ عَلَيْكُمْ. And this is, at a time we discussed it when fasting was almost for a 24-hour period, except the very small window period time after Maghrib. The fasting was, the eating and drinking was allowed. Other than that, almost the whole day, 24 hours, no eating and no drinking and no relationship with the spouse. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it flexible, and He made the night the time for eating and drinking also. So Allah Ta'ala says, alim Allah, Allah knows that you used to deceive yourself, so He turned to you and forgave you. فَلْيُبَاشِرُوهُنَّ فَالْآنَ بَاشِرُوهُنَّ وَابْتَغُوا مَا كَتَبَ اللَّهُ وَكُلُوا وَاشْرَبُوا حَتَّى يَتَبَيَّنَ لَكُمُ الْخَيْطُ الْأَبْيَضُ مِنَ الْخَيْطِ الْأَسْوَدِ مِنَ الْفَجْرِ. So now you have relationship with your spouse and seek that which Allah has ordained for you from your offspring, and eat and drink until the white thread of dawn is clear from the black thread of the night. Then complete your fasting until the nightfall. ثُمَّ أَتِمُّ الصِّيَامَ إِلَى اللَّيْلِ. These are the 3 clear reasons: eating, drinking, and of course the relationship. As long as these are done intentionally, while knowing that this will break the fast. If this is the condition, this will definitely break the fast. This is ijma. There is no difference of opinion about this. Also, we know from the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, there's 2 things that will also invalidate the fasting of the women, and that is their monthly cycle, or of a mother who gave birth and she is suffering from the postnatal bleeding. These are the 2 things also breaks the fast. Now the ulama, they made it very clear. They said other than these things, if somebody says that something breaks fast, he has to bring evidence. He has to bring proof. Now, are there other things that will break fast in the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Did he mention that? We are going to come to it. But these are the 5 main reasons. Keep that in mind. Some of the books of the fiqh, and now I'm going to tell you why some of these opinions are very famous. Some of the books of the fiqh, they discussed issues like any hole that we have in our body, like we have ear, we have nose, we have also eyes through which things can enter our jaw, of course. And also we have holes at the bottom, of course, behind, and then the front, we have holes. They say any hole through which anything enters in the body will break fasting. Any hole through which anything enters the body. They made a rule. This rule has no foundation. Upon this rule, now they said, if somebody put oil on the hair, and if the oil, of course our skin is porous, right? It goes through the skin and goes in the head, inside, yufattiru sawm. The person will break his fast. They said if anything enters from the ear or from the nose or from the mouth, any of these holes, anything enters, it will break the fast. They said, it's very funny, they said if somebody, and they speak about these things, by the way, we're not joking about it. They said if somebody is cleaning his bottom after he defecates, and by mistake one of the finger goes inside the bottom hole, he broke his fast. And so on and so forth. They put condition after condition after. So think about this. If somebody is taught this type of fasting, he's going to freak out. He's going to stop going to the bathroom even. And so on and so forth. They also said if somebody got into a fight and somebody poked a knife inside somebody, so now a knife has entered, a foreign body has entered your body, you broke your fast. And so on and so forth. They made up so many restrictions. These restrictions sometimes they put because they were suffering from unnecessary fear. Some of the people of knowledge, they put this, they discussed it, unfortunately. Unnecessary fear, unnecessary precaution. There is no need to take these precautions. Unnecessary concern. If something was not in the time of the Prophet ﷺ and the Prophet ﷺ didn't clarify this, why do we have to bring it and discuss it in our time without any evidence? So there are things the Prophet ﷺ's time, we want to now, after we understand why sometimes you see these opinions sometimes just float around. And that's why we have to always go back to the Kitab and the Sunnah. Because without the Kitab and the Sunnah, we will be misguided. And we are going to inject things which are not part of the religion. And make people's life difficult. Allah says in the Quran, while He mentions the verses of the fasting, Allah intends for you ease. Allah does not intend for you difficulty. So the hudud, the boundaries that He gives for certain rulings, these are the boundaries we have to maintain. We cannot add things in it. We cannot extract things from it. We have to keep it as it is. So there are things in the time of the Prophet ﷺ people used to use. For example, they used to use miswak. We want to know that. So once we discuss all of the issues and we hear the disputes, you would be able to connect it back. With knowledge, you would be able to see which opinion is correct. Miswak, for example. As-sahabat al-kiram, the Prophet ﷺ, we know this is established sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet ﷺ allowed a fasting person, as we talked about it, to taste the food from the qidr, from the pot. Taste meaning you taste with your tongue, not taste by eating, of course. Taste with the tongue and then spit things out. The Prophet ﷺ sunnah was to use kuhl. We have the narration of Anas ibn Malik, we're going to read that, which is authentic, that he used to use kuhl while he was fasting. And we will see how the difference of opinion are there amongst the scholars about kuhl. For example, the Prophet ﷺ used to use oil and perfume. This is famous. It's in Bukhari, Muslim, everywhere. They used to use bakhur. You know that the things, wooden things or whatever, they used to burn for good smell, bakhur. They used to do cupping, for example, and we will discuss the issue of cupping. There are some restriction from the Prophet ﷺ, as we will see, and how it applies. The Prophet ﷺ spoke about vomiting. You see, so any concern there could be which can harm our fasting, the Prophet ﷺ spoke about it. Vomiting, for example. For example, the Prophet ﷺ and the Sahabat al-Kiram used to make wudu all the time while they were fasting. And when it comes to wudu, we have a specific instruction from the Prophet ﷺ. And Asim ibn Laqit, ibn Sabra, one of the Sahabi called Laqit ibn Sabra radiallahu anhu, and this hadith is reported by Abu Dawud, Tirmidhi, and Ibn Majah, and authenticated by Imam al-Albani and others. قال صلى الله عليه وسلم بالغ في الاستنشاق إلا أن تكون صائما. He said, make your istinshaq. Istinshaq is basically puffing water inside the nose. Like when we sniff water in for making wudu, the Prophet ﷺ said, make it complete. Sniff the water. Don't just, some people make the wudu, they just touch the nose with the water. This is not correct. We are supposed to sniff in the water. So there should be some water in the hand so I can sniff in the water and so that it goes inside. The Prophet said, Balik, make it complete. However, illa an sa'ima, except if you are fasting. So if you are fasting, don't make it completely full. Just slightly wipe your and blow, sniff in the water and blow it out. Don't do it too hard. The ulama clarified over here that this and washing the mouth while we are putting water in the mouth, there is no way possible that some of the water will not go through the throat. Some will definitely go. And I'm sure we have done wudu many times while fasting, we have felt that. Yes, we try to spit out, but there will be definitely something that will go. And we do not have any report from the Prophet ﷺ and the Sahabat al-Kiram that they said if it does, it will break the fast. Or to take any specific precaution. Like some people, what they do is they take the towel and they wipe their inside. So that is completely, they are trying to be extra cautious. As if they are more cautious than the Prophet ﷺ and the Sahabat al-Kiram. We have all of these years of fasting and while making wudu, and nothing is being explained from the Prophet ﷺ and Sahabat al-Kiram. The only thing that is said, when you are putting water in the nose, do it lightly while fasting. And that is an evidence that if there is something that is going to be questionable, that is going to harm our fasting, the Prophet would explain it to us. He didn't explain anything with regards to the other thing that they used to use it in his time, sallallahu alaihi wa alihi wasallam. For example, they use miswak. Miswak meaning basically, you know that special arak tree, a special type of tree, its branch. And everybody knows that the branch of the tree has taste. It has, if it is dry, even if it is dry, you chew it, it will have taste. And if it is wet, definitely it will have taste. Never the Prophet ﷺ said, as Sahabat al-Kiram said, watch out and do this or don't use miswak during when you're fasting. Is there anything like this? Nothing. The Prophet ﷺ used to use kuhl and he didn't differentiate between fasting or not fasting period. The Prophet ﷺ allowed the people to taste food. If you taste with your tongue, is there any way you can get everything out from the mouth? There is no way. There will be something that will be there which will mix with your saliva and you will swallow. Did the Prophet make any specific comment about it? He didn't. They used to use oil and perfume. So now, you know, we heard that some of them, they said if you put the oil and the oil goes inside, then it breaks your wudu. And the Prophet ﷺ used to use oil. And Sahabat al-Kiram. Our mother Aisha said the Prophet ﷺ, when he used to do i'tikaf, he would stick out his head from the masjid and I would put oil on his head. Now i'tikaf is of course 24 hours. It doesn't mention whether he was doing that during the fasting or not fasting. But it also does not differentiate. That the Prophet ﷺ took a special precaution in the month of Ramadan and he didn't used to use this and that, fearing that it would break the fast. He did not have this kind of fear. So why do we want to bring this kind of fear in our time? Are we trying to be better than the Prophet ﷺ and the Sahabat al-Kiram radiallahu anhum? So it does not break the fast. These things, if something enters the body, it really does not, inshallah ta'ala, break the fast. So if somebody is using miswak, for example, something will go inside. And that's why the ulama al-kiram, and I'm going to read to you what Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah rahmatullahi alayhi said. As you know that with regards to the kuhl, the thing that the what is called the bismuth, I think they call it, or antimony, I can't remember right now, but it's called the kuhl. The kuhl, the men use. It's not the women's mashkara, it's the men's mashkara. Women's also use, men also use. The Prophet ﷺ used to use, I can't exactly remember the narrations, authenticity of the narration of the Prophet ﷺ, but for sure, as Sahabat al-Kiram, they used to use it. We have narration from Anas ibn Malik. Okay. So it was used in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. There is a dispute amongst the ulama with regards to the kuhl. Qadiman, long time ago. Let me look at here. I believe it's Imam Malik and Imam Ahmed rahmatullahi alayh. They say, if somebody uses kuhl and they feel the effect of it in their throat, they have broken their fast. Whereas Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi alayhi, I think, or Imam Shafi'i, both of them, they said, no, it does not break the fast, even if they find some taste of it in the throat. And of course, this second position looks like to be more correct. Why? Because when it comes to kuhl or miswak or this or that, the Prophet ﷺ did not put any condition for the fasting person to be careful or make sure the taste doesn't reach the throat and so on and so forth. So look what Shaykhul Islam Ibn Taymiyyah rahmatullahi alayhi in his Majmu' al-Fatawa, he said. He said that, and let me read the translation. He said, what is clear is that it does not. And when he was talking about the issues, he's talking about kuhl and also any drop that is put in the eye. Any drop that is put in the eye. He said it does not break the fast because fasting is from the religion of the Muslims that needs knowledge of general and specific. If these matters were forbidden by Allah and His Messenger in fasting, and it would break the fast, then it would be obligatory for the Prophet ﷺ to explain it. And if he ﷺ did explain as such, then the companions would have known it. And if they had known it, they would convey the matter to us, as they conveyed the matters of the whole Sharia of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then he says, and it is not reported from any of the people of knowledge, from the authority of the Prophet ﷺ about this matter. No hadith, sahih or da'if, connected with a chain or mursal, has been recorded with regards to this matter. So it should be known that regarding these, nothing has been reported. And the end of his speech. So basically, Shaykhul Islam Ibn Taymiyyah rahmatullahi alayhi is saying that those things which used to be in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, we have to take lesson from it. Since he dealt with those things as normal, and he didn't differentiate in the month of Ramadan, or the fasting people should make sure they should not use kuhl unless they can make sure it doesn't reach the throat, or they should not use miswak because something can go inside, or making wudu, be careful, you have to dry your mouth. He didn't make any of these. And the ulama, they are saying something very beautiful. They are saying that all of these scenarios of washing mouth during the wudu, putting water in the nose, using the kuhl, using the miswak, and all of these things which was available in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, if a Sahabat al-Kiram were using it, there was a possibility for sure that something would enter through the jawf, through the throat in their tummy. And this did not cause any concern from the Prophet ﷺ because there was no signal from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be careful. So why do we have to bring special cases in our time, whereas these issues and these things used to be in the time of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam. Now, from the past, one of the great imams, and that's why we said that this is a ni'mah from Allah, that we are the ummah of isnad. We are the people of chain of narration. So somebody comes and says something, it will not pass until it goes through that rigorous system of chain of narration to be verified that really it is from the Prophet ﷺ or not. And anything that is put under that rigorous system, it will be clear. Because we have ulama of Ahlul Hadith, those are the specialized in this field, they work day and night. Their number is very few, but their numbers are still available, and they're working very hard day and night to clarify the truth from the falsehood with regards to which narrations are authentic and which narrations are not authentic. One of the great scholars of the past who refuted all of these different claims of people and fear of the people is Imam al-Bukhari rahmatullahi alayhi. In his Sahih, which is known as Sahih al-Jami, or in our time famously known Sahih al-Bukhari, he basically brought so many reports from the Tabi'i and as-Sahabat al-Kiram to explain this matter. For example, he reported in the book of fasting, Bab Ightisal as-Sa'im, the fasting person making a ghusl. Bila shak, when you are making a ghusl, you are going to wash your nose, you are going to wash your mouth, water can enter through here, and so on and so forth. Accidentally, water could be swallowed. right? It could happen. So people could come and put so many conditions. Don't take shower, wait until night, make sure if you take shower, don't wet your head. There are so many things people come up with. Huh? This is just what people is saying. But what is the religion is different. He says, وَبَلَّ ابْنُ عُمَرَ رَضِيَ اللَّهُ عَنْهُمَا ثَوْبًا فَأَلْقَى عَلَيْهِ وَهُوَ صَائِمٌ. He said, Ibn Umar, this is Abdullah ibn Umar, the Sahabi, he used to wet a cloth and he used to put it on his head. And while he was fasting, to show that you can cool yourself down in this manner. And this is reported by Imam. Okay, now these narrations, Imam al-Bukhari, by the way, he brings in the mu'allaq form, not with the chain of narration. So, the ulama, the later on ulama, they came and they connected these and they found some of the chains are authentic, some of the chains are disconnected. As this one, the Imam al-Bukhari himself, he connected in his Tariq al-Kabir. And also Imam ibn Abi Shayba from the Tariq of Abdullah ibn Abi Uthman, that they saw Abdullah ibn Umar doing as such. Then he says, وَدَخَلَ الشَّعْبِ الْحَمَّامَ وَهُوَ صَائِمٌ. And Ash-Sha'bi is Amr ibn Sharahbil, and he died in the year 104 AD, which would be 104 Hijri. He died in the year 104 Hijri. He's a Tabi'i. He said, Ash-Sha'bi entered the hammam, the bathroom, to take shower while he was fasting. And this is reported, connected by Imam ibn Abi Shayba with an authentic chain. By this is showing that how the Salaf, they used to take care of taking ghusl in the morning, and they didn't put all of these conditions that people put. Okay, don't do this, don't do that. وقال ابن عباس لا بأس أن يتطعم القدر أو الشيء. Ibn Abbas used to say, this is the Sahabi Abdullah ibn Abbas, there is no problem if you taste from the qidr, food, with your tongue or something like this. And this is also connected by Imam ibn Abi Shayba, and that shows that they didn't say once you put it in your mouth, you have to make sure every single atom of that food is taken out. Otherwise, if anything, you feel the taste in your throat, your fasting will be broken. They didn't say this kind of things. وقال الحسن لا بأس بالمضمضة والتبرد للصائم. Hassan, this is Hassan al-Basri, another great tabi'i. He died in the year 110 Hijri. I'm trying to mention to you the Hijri year so that you can connect to. These are the Qadiman, the students of the Sahabat al-Kiram. This is what they were upon. He said there is no problem in doing madmada, to wash your mouth and to cool yourself down. So if somebody does the madmada to cool himself down because he is feeling very exhausted and things, there is nothing wrong in it. As long as he, of course, he spits out the water. And if something goes by mistake inside, there is no problem in that. We don't have to dry our mouth fully. وقال ابن مسعود إذا كان صوم أحدكم فليصبح دهينا مترجلا. He said, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud used to say, if you are fasting, then you can, in the morning, you can put oil in your head and comb. And we just told you why he is bringing all of these things, because people say, porous things, if it goes inside, it's going to break your fast. And we have the hadith of Aisha radiallahu anha very clear in Sahih Bukhari. She said, كان النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يصغي إلي رأسه وهو مجاور في المسجد فأرجله وأنا حائض. She said the Prophet ﷺ used to bend his head to me while he was in i'tikaf in the masjid during my period, and I would come and put oil in his hair. And she didn't mention it has to be in the night, it could not be in the day, and so on and so forth. وقال أنس بن مالك رضي الله عنه إن لي أبزنا أتقحم فيه وأنا صائم. It's Anas ibn Malik, the Sahabi, the Khadim al-Rasul. He said, I had a bathtub made of copper, and I used to, ataqahhamu means I used to, dip myself inside that bathtub to cool himself while he was fasting. ويذكر عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه استاق وهو صائم. And it has been reported that the Prophet ﷺ used to use the miswak while he was fasting. Now this report, Imam Ahmed reported on the authority of Amir ibn Rabi'a, but this hadith is not authentic. Okay, so there is no clear narration which says that the Prophet ﷺ was using miswak while he was fasting. But really it does not matter, because he did not differentiate using fast. But when talking about miswak, he didn't differentiate between fasting or non-fasting. But if somebody asks, Is there any specific evidence that the Prophet was using the miswak for fasting? No specific evidence. Hadith which is mentioned is weak. That's why Imam al-Bukhari, as you know, his way of putting this mu'allaq narration, he says وَيُذْكَرُ. When he says وَيُذْكَرُ وَقِيل, he's giving us an indication that this report has some weakness. And it is actually weak, as has been reported by many of the muhaddith of the past and present. وقال ابن عمر يستاك أول النهار وآخره ولا يبلع ريقه. And Ibn Umar said he used to use the miswak in the early part of the day and the latter part of the day, and he did not throw his spit, he did not spit things out, i.e. he would swallow it, and this is not going to be considered as breaking the fast. وقال ابن سيرين, this is Muhammad ibn Sirin, he died in the year 111 Hijri. لا بأس بالسواك الرطب. Pay attention to this. Muhammad ibn Sirin saying there is no problem in using the wet siwak, or the, what do you call it, the green siwak, the fresh siwak. قيل له طعم. They told Muhammad ibn Sirin, but it has taste. He said قال والماء له طعم. He said طعم. He said, well, water also have taste. وأنت تمضمض به, and you make a madmada, you rinse your mouth with it. So what's the problem? There is no problem with using this thing. Then, and this has been reported by collected by Ibn Abi Shayba and many other scholars, alhamdulillah. So these are connected with chain. وَلَمْ أَرَى أَنَسْ وَالْحَسَنْ وَإِبْرَاهِيمْ بِالْكُحْلِ لِلصَّائِمِ بَأْسًا. And Anas ibn Malik, this is the Sahabi, Wal-Hasan al-Basri, this is the Tabi'i, Wa Ibrahim, this is Ibrahim al-Nakha'i, which is another great Tabi'i. They did not see any problem using the kuhl, and we spoke about it, the two different opinions from the ulama, and what looks to be, what is correct is those who said using the kuhl, and even if it reaches, the taste reaches the throat, it does not break the fast, because we have the clear narration from Anas ibn Malik, radiyallahu anhu, that he used to use the kuhl while he was fasting, and this narration is mawquf, has been authenticated by Imam al-Albani rahmatullahi alayhi in his book Haqiqatus Siyam. Okay, then Imam al-Bukhari rahmatullahi alayhi, he moves on to the topic of eating and drinking by mistake. As we know, the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ is clear that if somebody eats and drinks by mistake, then there is no problem. The fasting is absolutely valid. And he brings here the statement of Ata ibn Abi Rabah, who died, another great tabi'i who died in the year 114 Hijri. وقال عطاء إن استنثر فدخل الماء في حلقه لا بأس إن لم يملك. Ata ibn Abi Rabah said, if somebody did the istinthar, meaning like, blew in the nose and blew it out, and in this process some of the water reaches his halq, reaches his throat, la ba'sa bihi, there is no problem, because it is out of his control. Anything which is out of our control is taken as a normal thing, even if it reaches our stomach, even in a quantity that we are afraid. Sometimes when we are making wudu, it happened to me that I felt that a big portion of the water, I swallowed it. It can happen, and there is no problem, inshallah, in these things. Once we understand these reports that Imam al-Bukhari is bringing it to basically destroy the myth that has been created by people. Don't do this, don't do that. Don't do this, don't do that. وقال الحسن إن دخل حلقه الذباب فلا شيئا عليه. Al-Hasan al-Basri said, if somebody through his throat a mosquito enters or a fly enters, so somebody is like, and the fly entered, okay, and he swallowed it. He said, La ba'sa bihi, no problem, i.e. his fasting is not going to be held broken. وقال الحسن ومجاهد إن جامع ناسيا فلا شيء عليه. And Hasan al-Basri and Mujahid ibn Jabr died in the year 140 Hijri, and Hasan al-Basri died in the year 110 Hijri. Okay, and these are both of the great tabi'i, or the students of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ. They said if a couple, they have relationship during the day of Ramadan, nasiyan, and they forgot that they are fasting, fala shay alay, there is no problem. They don't have to do any fidya, their fasting or kafara. Their fasting is absolutely valid, and they will continue with their fast. Then Imam al-Bukhari has a chapter Bab Siwak ratubi wal yabisi lis-sa'im. The siwak which is dry or wet, dry or green, using the dry or green siwak or the fresh or dry siwak for the fasting person. What do we have with this regards? He says, وَيُذْكَرُ عَنْ عَامِرِ بْنِ رَبِيعَةَ قال رأيت النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يستاك وهو صائم ما لا أحصي أو أعد. And I just mentioned to you that this narration of Amir ibn Rabi'ah, that he said that he saw the Prophet ﷺ using the miswak while he was fasting, and he said, I lost count of it, how many times I saw it. This narration is not authentic. Some of the authors I have seen, unfortunately, they are saying this hadith, okay, as an evidence, okay, and they are saying Rawahul Bukhari. Yes, Rawahul Bukhari, but Rawahul Bukhari mu'allaqan, and we know that the narrations of Sahih Bukhari, which is guaranteed to be authentic, are the narrations which are mawsul, which Imam al-Bukhari brings with a chain of narration. As for the narration which are mu'allaq, Imam al-Bukhari is not giving us any guarantee. And in some cases he says وَيُذْكَرُ وَقِيلًا وَرُؤْيًا, and this kind of, they call it sigat al-tamrid, giving an indication that these narrations are not authentic. So we cannot attribute this to the Prophet ﷺ. However, we know that the Prophet ﷺ strongly suggested to use the siwak. So after this he brings the hadith of Abu Hurairah. وَقَالَ Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu. Now he says وَقَالَ Abu Hurairah, because now he's giving an indication that this narration is authentic. عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, on the authority of the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, who said لَوْلَا أَنْ أَشُكَّ عَلَى أُمَّتِي, he said, if it would not be difficult for my ummah, لَأَمَرْتُكُمْ بِالسِّوَاكِ عِنْدَ كُلِّ wudu, I would have commanded to make for them to use siwak for every wudu. For every wudu, I would make it fard. And this narration, Imam al-Nasai and others, they connected it. So which means what? The Prophet ﷺ did not differentiate between fasting and non-fasting people. When he gave this advice and strongly suggested them to use the siwak, he didn't differentiate between a fasting and the non-fasting person. ويروى نحوه عن جابر وزيد بن خالد عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم ولم يخص الصائم من غيره. And Imam al-Bukhari said, and it also has been reported on the authority of Jabir ibn Abdullah and Zayd ibn Khalid al-Juhani, both of the Sahabi, on the authority of the Prophet ﷺ with regards to the using of siwak. And the Prophet ﷺ did not distinguish between a fasting and the non-fasting person. وقالت عائشة عن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, and our mother Aisha said on the authority of the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, مطهرة للفم مرضاة للرب, the using the siwak is purely clean for the mouth and it is pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this hadith has been authenticated by Imam al-Albani in the Rawal Ghalib. وقال عطاء وقتادة يبتلي أريقه, and Ata and Qatada, they say that the after cleansing the mouth with the miswak, they can swallow the riq, the saliva. There is no problem in that, even if that saliva has taste and so on and so forth. Bab, then Imam al-Bukhari continues, and I'm sure that by now you're getting the idea what Imam al-Bukhari is trying to show to us. He's trying to show to us, don't freak out on all of these additional rulings that people will make up. Of course, there are certain things, certain new matters, it needs to be discussed. But these matters which are old, already been discussed by the ulama of the Sahaba and ulama of the Tabi'een, and we have clear instructions from the Prophet ﷺ, those things we do not have to inject our new principles and our new conditions in it. So if somebody comes and now tells you that you can use the siwak, but make sure you spit everything out, now you know where to go back and check with the authenticity of the information. That okay, very simple, the Prophet ﷺ used miswak, as-sahabat al-kiram used miswak in the month of Ramadan. Did they make this kind of conditions? This was something very normal for the Prophet ﷺ. He didn't make any such condition. So why are we making that condition? So you know, even if it's being said by a very noble scholar, let's say for example, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, our ulama, as we know, that they study the kitab and the sunnah, and that they give the fatwa. Not necessarily always a fatwa will hit the bull's eye. Sometimes the fatwa hits the bull's eye, meaning it's correct. Sometimes the fatwa is not correct. So when it is, we see that it misses, Alhamdulillah, we pass it. And we go to the ones who got it. Like in this case, you can see from all of these great ulama who Imam al-Bukhari has reported from. Okay, so now he says, باب قول النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إذا توضأ فليستنشق بمنخره الماء. He said, when you make wudu, then you put the water in your nose. Blow in the water in your nose. Okay? And he says, وَلَمْ يُمَيِّزْ بَيْنَ الصَّائِمِ وَغَيْرِ. And he did not differentiate between a fasting person and non-fasting person. This is the statement of Imam al-Bukhari. However, we do have the narration where the Prophet ﷺ did differentiate between the fasting and the non-fasting person, in the sense that only when it comes to the washing the nose or sniffing in the nose, the Prophet ﷺ said, don't make it too hard. Do it lightly. So there is a differentiation with that, but here is the point. With all of this differentiation, he never said, if the water goes inside and you feel it is going through your halq, it breaks the fast. Okay? So Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, that matter is clear. وقال عطاء وقال الحسن حسن البصري, this is the tabi'i, لا بأس بالسعوت للصائم إن لم يصل إلى حلقه ويكتحل. Al-Hasan said there is no problem in sa'ud. Now what is sa'ud? Sa'ud is a medication they used to put through their nose. Like we have nose drop today. Nose. But he's putting a condition here. If this is no medication is going through your throat, then it's a problem. But if it is not, nose drop is not a problem. Now we have a clear-cut thing from a great tabi'i. وَيَكْتَحِلُ, and Hassan used to put kuhul in his eyes. وقال عطاء, this Ata ibn Abi Rabaha, إن تمضمض ثم فرغ ما فيه من الماء لا يضيره إن لم يزدرد ريقه وماذا بقي فيه ولا. Al-Ata, he said, I'm sorry. And he said, ولا يمضغ العلق فإن ازدرد ريق العلك لا أقول إنه يفطر ولكن ينهى عنه فإن استنثر فدخل الماء حلقه لا بأس لم يملك. So Ata ibn Abi Rabah, he said, when it comes to the next part, he says, do not chew gum. So they used to have some kind of gum. Some people have problem in the jaw. So they ask, can I chew? Yes, you can chew, as long as you don't eat the thing. If the gum has, of course, the sweet gum and it has things, of course, this is not allowed. But if the gum is flavorless and you're chewing it, there is no problem, because nothing new is coming out from this gum. Okay? So he's saying, do not chew the gum. But if somebody does chew the gum, he's saying, if somebody does chew the gum and swallows the saliva, I don't say he broke the fast. But he should be instructed not to do that. And if he blows out water from the nose and some water enters through the throat, no worries, as long as it is out of his control. With all of these narrations, Imam al-Bukhari is basically refuting all those positions that people come up with. Now you will hear some people, they will say, in the month of Ramadan, do not use toothpaste, do not use toothbrush, do not use mouthwash, do not use these things during the daytime. And they give a specific instruction, do it at night, or right after the suhoor, do it before the time of the dawn. Why? Because the toothpaste have taste. So what? Said, if something goes inside, we say no. If the toothpaste has taste, siwak has taste too. If something by accidentally goes through the throat, siwak also does the same thing. And I heard that the tabi'in, they used to even consider if somebody chew and clean the mouth with the siwak and swallow the saliva, they said la ba'sa bihi. So why are you putting condition? And who uses toothpaste to eat? Who uses mouthwash to eat, to drink it? Everybody uses it to clean the mouth. So there is those ulama, they say you can use toothbrush, toothpaste, mouthwash, whatever to clean the mouth. This is definitely the correct opinion, inshallah, as we can see. Humbly we say that, as we can see from what is being reported. We can use our mouth to chew, taste food, but we have to spit it out, of course. We cannot eat the food. However, we do know that some of these things can enter accidentally, and that is absolutely fine. Questions are asked about ear drops, eye drops, nose drops. These things, as they asked Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen rahmatullahi alayhi, gave a very beautiful example. He said, a ear drop, An eye drop and a nose drop is not food. It is not drink. It is not desire. So we know that food, drink, desire, and the two type of blood breaks the wudu. This is none of them. So why would somebody say, if you put ear drop, it breaks your fasting? If you put nose drop, it breaks your fasting. If you put eye drop, it breaks your fasting. Even if we taste some of that in our throat, there is absolutely no problem with that, because now you understand the principle. Now we have established the principle by talking about the things that used to be in the time of the Prophet ﷺ. And there was that fear that if they were going to use these things, they could feel the taste through their throat. The Prophet ﷺ did not warn them against using them. Using the same principle, we understand that these things are usually staying in the nose, ear, and eye. And if something goes through the throat, this is not food or drink. This is something, a residue of certain things, like the water of the saliva when we are making wudu, like the remnants of the siwak when we are using it in our mouth, like that. If it enters through the throat, no problem. That's why those ulama, those who say the eye drop, ear drop, and nose drop, alhamdulillah rabbil alamin, all of these things are allowed. This is definitely looks to be, we are humbly saying, correct to what has been revealed from the Prophet ﷺ and the practice of a Sahabat al-Kiram and the understanding of the great generation of the Tabi'een, which they connected it, of course, to the Prophet and the practice sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We also understand no worries in taking shower, no worries in rinsing mouth at any time, as long as we spit out the water by mistake, accidentally, forgetfully. If we are drinking that water or a small or big amount enters through our throat, there is nothing to freak out. We do not have to give any kaffara, no fidya. Our fasting is absolutely valid. The question comes with the kuhul. A lot of people, I just want to mention, actually I think we just discussed it. I already spoke about the kuhul issue, so we don't have to repeat that. Let's move on to the issue of al-hijama. Al-hijama has some things to discuss, because we have the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, and hijama, just to explain, I'm sure most of you do know, hijama is basically cupping. Cupping is a certain process through which blood is extracted from certain part of the body, like the back, the shoulder, the head, and the cheek. There are certain places, the feet, those are the hajjam. They know exactly if you have certain pain or certain problem, they know where to put the cups and to suck the blood out. They used to have other method. Nowadays we have those Chinese cups, the Chinese cups, and we use them to do the hijama. Anyway, the Prophet ﷺ's famous hadith is authentic. He said, "Aftar al-hajim wal-mahjum." The one who is doing the cupping and the one upon whom the cupping is being done, both of them has broken the fast. Both of them have broken the fast. Now, this hadith is marfu, authentic. Okay? And based upon this hadith, the Hanabila, or the scholars of the Hanabila madhab, they are of the opinion that the cupping breaks the fast. Cupping breaks the fast. Whereas the Jamhur al-Ulama, Al-Hanafiyya and Shafi'iyya and Malikiyya, Jamhur al-Ulama, their position is cupping does not break the fast. Okay? So why the other scholars, they decided that cupping should not break the fast, whereas we have the hadith that cupping, the Prophet said, after al-hajj wal-mahjum. It's something serious. Who is correct? There's a lot of dispute about these things, but just to make it easy, the second group who say that the cupping does not break the fast, they're correct. Why? Because, and that's why Imam al-Bukhari has this art in his Sahih al-Bukhari, when he talks about the cupping, he puts the narrations of those who say that the cupping breaks in mu'allaq form. And then he brings the narrations to show that cupping is allowed with the chain, giving us an indication that his opinion is cupping does not break the fast, and of course this is the correct opinion. Okay, so what do we have from the Prophet ﷺ, which gives us the conclusion that those ulama who said cupping does not break the fast, they are correct. We have the hadith of Ikrimah and Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, anna Nabiyya sallallahu alayhi wasallam ihtajama. He said that the Prophet ﷺ did the cupping wa huwa muhrimun, and he was a muhrim, meaning he was in the state of Hajj, he was in the state of Ihram. وهو محرم واحتجم وهو صائم. And he also did the hijama while he was fasting. Okay. Then he brings a narration عن عكرمة عن ابن عباس رضي الله عنهما قال احتجم النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم وهو صائم. The Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم did the hijama while he was fasting. This narration, the ulama, they used to say that this is the hukum that was the final, that abrogates the earlier command of the Prophet ﷺ where he said the hijama will break the fast. Then he brings the Imam al-Bukhari, I'm talking about Imam al-Bukhari, the narration of Anas ibn Malik. عن ثابت البناني يسأل أنس بن مالك رضي الله عنه. Thabit al-Bunani, this is one of the great tabi'i and one of the major students of Anas ibn Malik, Khadim al-Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He said, I asked Anas ibn Malik, أكنتم تكرهون الحجامة للصائم? Did you used to dislike cupping for a fasting person? Now when he is saying أكنتم, you, he's talking about Sahabat al-Kiram. Takrahuna, the word kariha, as we know from the old lugha, the old linguistically, when it's used in the Sahabat al-Kiram, Tabi'i, the generation, when they use the word kariha, they meant haram, prohibition. So he's basically asking, although they translated it as dislike, he said, did you used to consider it to be prohibited for a person to do the hijama while they were fasting? Qala la. Anas ibn Malik said no. Illa min ajli ad-da'fi, except if he's going to get weak. وزاد شبابة, okay, so okay. وزاد شبابة حدثنا شعبة على عهد النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. And another report from Anas ibn Malik from the chain of narration of Shu'bah, it says that this happened, meaning they used to do this in the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They used to prohibit the people to do the hijama if it's going to make them weak. Wait until it is night. Otherwise, they did not used to consider it makruh. And we talked about makruh in the lugha and the istimal of from the time of the Sahabat al-Kiram, it is tahrim, prohibited. So basically they didn't used to consider it prohibited. These are the hujjatun qati'a from the ulama al-Kiram of the second group. And this is most likely what looks to be correct, is hijama does not break the fast, inshallah ta'ala. Then Imam Bukhari brings the narration from the Mu'allaq, a hanging chain, but this narration is authentic. وَكَانَ ابن عمر رضي الله عنهما يحتجم وهو صائم. Ibn Umar used to do hijama while he was fasting. ثم تركه. Then later on he left. فَكَانَ يَحْتَجِمُ بِاللَّيْلِ, and he used to do it at night. Most likely he felt later on in his time that he was getting older and it would be difficult for him if the blood is being extracted during the daytime, and it will cause tiredness, and it might make him break the fast. Not because of the cupping, but because of the weakness, he has to break the fast to save himself. So he didn't want to do that, so he did it at night. واحتجم أبو موسى ليلا, and Abu Musa al-Ash'ari radiallahu anhu, they used to do the hijama during the night. And Imam al-Albani rahmatullahi alayhi in Irwa al-Ghalil, he brings other narration of Abu Sa'id al-Khudri radiallahu anhu, other Sahabat al-Kiram. They show that permissibility of doing the hijama during the fasting daytime, and this is inshallah ta'ala established from as-Sahabat al-Kiram. Binaan ala hada, this looks, now the thing comes, what about taking blood? If they ask, can I give blood during the daytime? Absolutely. However, you should be careful, because giving blood, it will not break your fast, but it might make us weak. So somebody wants to avoid that, maybe they should do it other time. But if it is necessary, they have to give the blood, they should give the blood. And if it is necessary that because of that you have weakness and you must break the fast, you should break the fast, and there is no problem in that. You can make it up inshallah ta'ala later on. But the giving of the blood does not break the fast. The giving of the blood does not break the fast. What about receiving blood? And we're going to talk about that when we talk about the injection and the intravenous fluids, inshallah ta'ala. It's coming soon. The next topic would be the topic of al-qai, throwing up. Okay? About the throwing up, we have two narrations. Sorry, the narration which is, let me read, I'm sorry. The throwing up, yeah. We have the authentic narration narrated by Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu. This narration, there is some maqal in the chain, but majority of the ulama of the hadith, they have considered this hadith to be authentic, marfu'an. Okay, so what we are giving you is inshallah ta'ala authentic. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Man dhara al-qay'u falaysa alayhi shay'un." The one who involuntarily vomits, there is no problem. Nothing is due upon him. So involuntary vomiting, what does it mean involuntary vomiting? Means somebody is feeling nauseated and he vomited. Does it break his fast? No, it doesn't break his fast. What if he was vomiting, certain things went inside? Does it break his fast? It does not. And when he was doing, after throwing up, he is cleaning his mouth, and while doing that he swallowed some substantial amount of water. Does it break his fast? No, it doesn't break his fast. These are all accidental things. Okay, and the hadith is clear. Man dhara'ahu al-qay'u falaysa alayhi qada. The one who involuntarily vomits, there is no qada for him. There is no makeup for him. وَمَنِ اسْتَقَاءَ فَلْيَقْضِ. But the one who induces the vomiting, like putting the finger in the mouth or some kind of action, voluntary action through which he will know that he wants to throw up, he will throw up. This does not, okay, some of the ulama, they said it breaks the fast, and some of the ulama said it does not break the fast. What is correct is it does not break the fast. But what he has to do in that case is falyaqdi. He has to give an atonement, which is he has to make up an extra day for that day. But does he continue with his fasting? Yes, he continues with his fasting. As I mentioned to you, some of the ulama, they say that if it is voluntary qay, then it breaks the fast. It does not, inshallah ta'ala, according to the most sound opinion, and Allah knows best. Now we come the other topic, which is very commonly asked, the injections, the shots. Does it break the fast? The injections and the shots and the intravenous fluid. So, the injections and the shots which are given in the muscle or the bottom, and so on and so forth, majority of the ulama, they said this does not break the fast. Why it doesn't break the fast? Now here is the thing, this is something new. Okay, they call it Masailun Nazila, new matters. This was not in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, right? New matter. Now, this matter, the ulama, they study it. What do they study it? Based upon the Quran and the Sunnah, of course. Okay, so they say, look at their argument, very beautiful argument. They say that the injection that we put in our what do you call it? In our muscles and our bottom and this and that, wherever in the body, this is not food, this is not drink, this is not shahwa. So this cannot break fast. Yes, something is entering. Remember the statement. Now we have a statement from Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu. About hijama, he said, and this is authentically reported from him, he said hijama does not break the fast because what breaks the fast is not what exits. What breaks the fast is what enters. This is a principle that Abdullah ibn Abbas was mentioning to make the people understand the hijama. Some people, they took it and they applied it in everything. And as I told you, they applied that anything that enters will break the fast, which is not correct. Of course, that position is not correct. So it does not fall under the category of eating. It does not fall under the category of drinking. It does not fall in the category of shahwa. So why will it break the fast? Now if somebody says, this will break the fast, now you can assess it with knowledge. It's not like the situation like I went here, I read a fatwa, they said yes. Then I read another fatwa, I said no. See, if we read like this fatwa, it always will be confusing. There is no reference point we are creating. Reference point is the deen. Fatwa is a derivative of that. That fatwa could be right, that fatwa could be wrong. If you study the derivative and you forget about reading the asal, okay, it's going to be calamity. And we are fasting every single year. Sometimes same group of people keep coming and asking the same question. You know why? Because they never learned the principle. And I'm not trying to criticize it. I'm just saying that we have to correct it. Once you learn the principle, the Sharia, the marja, what we go to, the Kitab and the Sunnah. Lot of people, they do not know how to open the Sahih al-Bukhari and read. And if we tell them, they say something very amazing. They say, these are for the scholars. We say, yes, this is for the scholars to study and devote their life. But this is also for you to study, because this is your text. The only thing that they do, if they're good, is they read the Quran. And most of the time, is just reading. So this type of superficial reading the nas, the text, is detaching us from the text. So we are always being confused with fatwa. A said this, B said this, C said this, D said this, E says this, then go on. Sometimes about one opinion, there's 50. One issue, there's 50 opinions. Are all of these scholars playing games? A'udhu billah, no. These are trustworthy. We are talking about the Sunni scholar. These are trustworthy scholars. They do their best, but they're human beings. And sometimes they're, as I mentioned to you about the kuhl, this is the opinion of Imam Ahmed and Imam Malik, if I quoted them correctly, that they said it breaks the fast if it reaches the halq. This is two of the major scholars of Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah. And you know that the Sahabat al-Kiram, they used to use kuhl. And we have the narrations of the Prophet ﷺ. As far as I can tell right now, I cannot tell the authenticity. I can remember right now, so I don't want to connect anything to the Prophet ﷺ without knowledge. But it is known that it used to be used in that time. And there is no reference to say, be careful when you're fasting. So when we see from the other scholars, another fatwa, those who are saying, it's okay, you're using kuhl. Now if we understand the adilla, the marja, it would be able to see, okay, who is going to be correct? Inshallah, most likely is going to be correct. Inshallah. That is something we will reach. Alhamdulillah, we take that step towards that gradually. It is not difficult. We are not telling anybody to leave their work, leave their school, leave their job to study the Sahih al-Bukhari, Sahih Muslim. We are not saying that. We are never going to say that, because commoners cannot do that. It's the ulama, they do that. But the commoners have to know the basic. Otherwise, they are going to be floating around. Look at the tabi'i. Some of them were the sons of the richest of the rich that we can imagine. Bill Gates is nothing to them. And when we are saying this, we are not saying it from our head just to make them look better. Some of the narration which is in Sahih al-Bukhari, for example, the wealth of Abdullah ibn Zubayr, radiallahu anhu, one of the Sahabi, if you are going to calculate his wealth with the correct inflation, in our time, he can buy a couple of Bill Gates and more. The amount of wealth he had is unimaginable. But yet with all of these things, they studied the Kitab and Sunnah. That's why when they used to go, they asked questions with fiqh. And if somebody said something, they would always connect it back and go and check and verify. They had that methodology. We can also have the same. What we are saying is, every year we are fasting. How come we do not know the basic hadith of the Prophet ﷺ with regards to fasting? How come? That's something we have to ask. I'm asking myself. You have to ask yourself. I'm not trying to make anybody feel bad. Okay, we're trying to say that let's do it. Let's take a step from this month, this Ramadan, and do it. In certain cases, we should go and open Sahih Bukhari. We are not telling go and open Sahih Bukhari, read everything. This is the time of fasting. You're going to only go to the book of fasting and read the certain hadith so that you can have yaqeen, trust of what you're doing. And what you're hearing is what's correct. Otherwise, I can say something, you can hear something else, and this and that. Then you find contradiction. And maybe they are right, and I am wrong. I'm nobody. And maybe somebody else is correct. Alhamdulillah, no problem about that. But at least you would be able to connect to the right thing with evidences, not by just guessing, not by just smelling something. I come to Masjid Ibrahim, I like them, so I think they're correct. That's not knowledge. Or I don't like Masjid Ibrahim, I don't think they're correct. That's also not knowledge. That's also not a reason to reject or accept. The reason for rejecting and accepting is based upon the evidence that is in the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ. Okay. So we spoke about the injections, and we said that majority of them, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen, do not disagree about this, and this is definitely the correct position, inshallah ta'ala. Inshallah ta'ala. If you hear something and there is an evidence from the Prophet ﷺ, it's on top of our head. But there is nothing like that as far as we know. Now comes the other issue about the intravenous fluids, whether it's a medicine, whether it is blood, whether it is a saline. Okay, here some of those ulama, they say it breaks the fast, and some of the ulama, they say it does not break the fast, and some of the ulama, they say depends. If what's going inside is just a medication, it does not break the fast. But if what's going inside is nutrition, then it will break the fast. So the third group, they make a distinction. And this is the distinction, if I believe, is from Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen rahmatullahi alayhi and many of the noble scholars. This distinction, the other group of the Ahlul Ilm, they disputed it. They disputed with the ilm. They say, if you say that intravenous fluid, the one which is medicine, will not break the fast, what's the proof? And if you say that the intravenous fluid, if it acts as nutrition, and it will break the fast, what's the proof? Because the ones who say that the intravenous fluid, if it acts as nutrition, it will break the fast, they're saying that it takes the place of eating and drinking. So the other group answered them back that if it is so, then any medicine that you put through the intravenous system is like it takes the position of taking medicine through mouth. So it should break the fast too. So they said, no, this distinction does not make sense. They said that the intravenous fluid of all type does not break the fast. And they said this is because, and I believe this is the correct opinion. I'm nobody, brothers. If you do not agree with me, that's fine, but I'm going to explain to you with the knowledge, inshallah. Those who said that the intravenous fluid, whether it is nutritious or non-nutritious, it does not break the fast, their evidence is this. They are saying that how is it eating and drinking? Explain. When you give saline to a patient, even if it acts as nutrition, if you ask him, did you eat anything? What is he going to say? He'll say, I didn't eat anything. If you ask him, did you drink anything? He will say, no, I didn't drink anything. So if he didn't eat anything and he didn't drink anything, how did it become food and drink? It didn't become food and drink. Because actually in some cases when the intravenous fluid is given, the people become more hungry. It happened to me when I was very little. I had jaundice, and for about a year or so they used to give me intravenous fluid. And after they used to perform that, I used to get hungry crazy. It doesn't provide that kind of nutrition what they're talking about. It does provide nutrition in the body, but it doesn't provide the way the food and the eating and drinking is. So those ulama, they say that it does not take the position of eating and drinking and shahwa. That makes more sense, because see, the ones who said that if it is not nutritious, it doesn't break the fluid, they are partially correct. But in the other portion, they got it incorrect. Allah knows best. What looks to be correct is all sorts of intravenous fluid does not break the fast. And this is the position of the Sheikh I study under, Sheikh Hassan Abdul Fattah al-Barqawi. And also I have heard this from Sheikh Mustafa al-Adawi al-Misri, one of the great student of knowledge and student of Sheikh Muqbil ibn Hadi al-Wadi'i, rahimahullah ta'ala. Their position is this, and many of the people of knowledge. And Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, you can study more inshallah to see. Same thing goes with receiving blood. It does not fall into the category of eating and drinking. It is like any other intravenous system, so it should not break the fast. But here is the other point we have to keep in mind. How come a person who is taking saline and he's in such a situation that he has to take blood and he should be fasting at that time? You know, sometimes these questions are being asked, but we are not thinking the other side. This type of people should not be fasting, because they are so sick that they have to take saline. They have to take they have to be given extra blood and so on and so forth. They should not be fasting, but we cannot of course make the judgment call for them, but that's something to keep in mind. When we are talking about these things, does it break fast, does it not break fast, we have to keep in mind we are talking about a scenario which sounds very odd. A person who is taking saline or given intravenous fluid, of course he would be dehydrated. Of course he might have a severe migraine or certain things. He's receiving blood, of course he would be in a delicate situation. So in that situation, fasting should not be it should be highly recommended. In fact, in some cases it could be even obligatory that patient should break the fast and preserve his body. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. With regards to this, the inhaler question, The inhaler, the ulama, they differentiate. The for the asthma patients, there are different types of inhalers. The inhalers which does not have any powder or any water type of things, these there is no disagreement that it will not break the fast, i.e. it is absolutely okay for to use the inhaler. As for the ones which has powder or water, I think Sheikh Ibn Uthaymin, he differentiates that it is going to break the fast because the powder will reach the throat. And here is the thing that needs to be addressed. This powder that reaches the throat, is it a significant amount, like we are, for example, Tylenol, or some kind of medication we are taking, a significant thing that we are taking, of course it will break the fast. But if it is insignificant, like when we are putting it in our eye drop or ear drop or nose drop, if it is insignificant, then it should fall under the category of eye drop, ear drop, and nose drop should be allowed. I was reading some of the discussion with some of the doctors, Muslim doctors, and they were explaining that these all sorts of inhalers fall under the same condition, that the amount that goes through the throat is very, very, very minute. So after discussing the principle of what breaks fast and what does not break fast, under that light, their position, some of the Ahlul Ilm, their position is all sorts of inhalers, inshallah, is okay for a person to take while in the time of fasting, inshallah ta'ala. I think this is what we have with regards to what we wanted to cover. The other question a lot of time people ask is, what about saliva? And that's a very funny question, but it is not, because if you go to the Kutubul Fiqh, you have a lot of discussion about saliva. When we were little, we were told that if you jama'a riqahu, meaning if you collect my mother is here and she's laughing because she knows what I'm talking about. If we collect saliva in our mouth and swallow it, it's going to break fast. So we were little and we had a bunch of cousins together, we were fasting, and we used to compete in spitting things out. And if we see somebody is not spitting for some time, we used to like charge them. Oh, you broke your fast because you have not been spitting for last 10 minutes. And we used to do this. So does the spit break the fast? Spit was available in the time of the Prophet ﷺ. Spit was available in the mouth of the Prophet ﷺ. Spit was available in the mouth of all the companions of the Prophet ﷺ. Nobody even cared to ask this question to the Prophet ﷺ. And the Prophet ﷺ didn't clarify anything with regard to spit. So now if you go to the Kutubul Fiqh, it's amazing. They say, if the spit comes out from the mouth, detaches from your mouth, and you're like, and you take it down and you swallow it, they said you broke your fast. And they're trying to be extra cautious. No foundation for this kind of things. All sorts of saliva, whether little or big, whether it detaches from the mouth or doesn't detach from the mouth, absolutely okay for us to treat it natural and normal, as the companions of the Prophet ﷺ and the Sahabat al-Kiram, they used to treat it with. If somebody says other than this, even if they are great scholars and they are on top of our head, we will ask for them evidence. Hatu burhanakum in kuntum sadiqin. Because this is the methodology that all of our ulama of Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah, they teach us. Not to challenge them, but to understand their fatwa with regards to what they base it upon. And that is a advice that all of the scholars, great scholars, used to give to their students. Don't depend on what I said. Don't depend on what Auza'i said, or Thawri said, and he said, and they said, but take from where they have taken. This is something when the Muslim Ummah, they forgot, they became so confused about things there should not be any confusion about. Today people are talking about saliva. Don't take it wrong. Go and check some of the trustworthy even websites, and they're talking about these issues. If the saliva is discharged from the mouth, you take it and put different sorts of condition and here and there. No proof for this whatsoever. This discussion should not be even taking place. This discussion should not be taking place because this was something very normal in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, and we did not receive any instruction from him sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make our fasting like the fasting of the Prophet ﷺ and the companions of the Prophet ﷺ. The month of Ramadan is coming very soon. We are going to most likely be able to declare it tomorrow, either on Thursday or Friday. Don't take my words for it, because I have not spoken with the brothers in the masjid as yet. But this is something what looks like to be correct. And as you know, the situation of the town here and elsewhere, it is not safe to even step out of the home unless it is necessary. So the masjid will be closed, but the month of Ramadan is full of blessings. Even if the masjid is closed for the time being, this is a temporary thing. Inshallah ta'ala, very soon, فَإِنَّ مَا الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا, after the difficulty there will be ease. My brothers and sisters, there's a lot of needy people in the community. They're asking us, and there are refugees who are applying in our masjid. We, alhamdulillah, everybody calls us and we try our best to help. We don't have a video, we don't publicize our efforts like that, but it is happening because people give us donation for that regard, so that we can take care of those people who are needing it today. So alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, please send your zakat. Especially we have spoken about the zakat. The rights of the people in this community is more than the rights of anywhere else, not even stepping out of the Austin. We have a lot of people to take care of them. And mashallah ta'ala, many of you are asking for the families who need food. We are going to provide list inshallah for the brothers, but these are, personal information, so we cannot publicize it like that. If the families allow us to do that, we are going to give it to certain people who are requesting us, so you can take food directly to them. As for us, we are not taking this risk. That's why we are not calling anybody to the masjid to pack food and to distribute like that, because we think it is risky. We could be wrong, but we think it's a risky time to involve the youth and things like this. But if somebody else is doing that, that's wonderful. This is between them and Allah. But we are not doing it like that. But anybody's asking us money, we are just sending check to them. Usually when they ask for food and other things, we don't give them check, we give them in kind. But in this time and situation, we are being very flexible, alhamdulillah, and we are trying to help as much as we can. But the donation has to keep on coming, inshallah ta'ala, from your generosity. And the month of Ramadan is an evidence for us and for the generosity of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. During the month of Ramadan, we will have certain sessions. I'm not sure about the timing. If you have any suggestion, let me know. Some of the brothers are asking maybe before the iftar, but here is the issue that mothers and the ladies will be busy to make the food, so they will miss it. So we don't want them to miss it. And some of them are asking after the iftar, 1 hour after the iftar. And I believe that this is not a bad idea, because we don't have the Taraweeh that we have to go to the masjid to catch at a certain time. We have the flexibility to pray at home at any time. We can separate them. We don't have to pray in a chunk. And as we mentioned, that you can pray the Taraweeh and even obligatory optional prayer and make it long by opening the Quran. While you are standing, opening the Quran, read from it. And we have given the evidence from the practice of our mother Aisha and other companions and Tabi'i. So anyway, that's something what I personally feel would be not bad. 1 hour after iftar, so everybody eats and they're cooled down, so they can have the classes will be short, 20 minutes, not more than that. Some of the brothers, they asked for classes, especially for little children, those who cannot attend these marathon classes that we have. They get tired. But here what I'm saying, that even if they get tired, you should make them sit, because this is what will make them get used to. I remember when I started sitting in class in the beginning, I used to get crazy, and I was grown up man. I used to get crazy after 10-20 minutes. But now I can continue to do that for as long as even the whole day. It's just a practice. We have to teach them how to get attached to the masjid and to the halaqat of the knowledge, especially when the students of knowledge and the ulama, they come to the masjid to come and sit down and take out time and learn from them. This is important. But respecting their requests, I will inshallah try to make recorded videos for the children, 10-15 minutes maybe maximum, 15-20 minutes maximum, to talk about certain important things of course Ramadan, maybe stories of the prophets, mix and match things, so that they can enjoy during the Ramadan, listen to it while they're maybe fasting and they're bored. They can listen to something which is authentic inshallah ta'ala from the book of Allah and the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give all of you the tawfiq to fast and to pray and to have the golden opportunity, the three golden opportunities, the month of Ramadan, fasting and praying the Qiyamul Layl. Subhanakallahumma bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa ant. Astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.